Hi everyone, Toomthany Scoom Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Hudson Mohawke album, Cry Sugar. This is the latest full-length LP from Scottish-born producer Hudson Mohawke, his fourth formal commercial album to date, which comes shortly after a run of very chaotic short-form projects, which essentially functioned as a mass dissemination of older tracks and songs in the Hudson catalog that have yet to kind of land on a formal project. One might presume after so many wild collections of cuts that the next Hudson album would be something more pared down, focused, but Cry Sugar is the exact opposite. Really, it's Hudmo's most long, versatile, and out-of-control record yet. With its 19 tracks and 63 minutes of runtime, it covers quite a few bases, but therein lies the issue with this album. There is absolutely, positively no direction to it whatsoever, not just in terms of genre, but also mood. The whole thing runs more like a compilation than anything. One moment you may get a very peppy and colorful display of trap beats and bright 80s synths. The next, you're getting a very chilling ambient piece, like in the case of the super eerie K-pipe. Further down the line, it's bumping hip-hop beats and some soul vocal chops, and then maybe you get a track that sounds like the menu screen music to a very hopeful and uplifting indie game, like with the track Is It Supposed. You could get a tiny interlude that adds little to nothing to the unpredictable flow of this record, or maybe a lengthier cut that sort of overstays its welcome. Some tracks here develop quite a bit, others not as much, like the song Redeem, as well as Lonely Days, which I wish did more with its mountains of minimalist string section tension. There are kind of ordinary cuts on this thing that are shoulder to shoulder with uncompromisingly experimental moments too, like the song Stump, which features all of these Vangelis-esque synth builds, but the effects and synth patches on the track are so distorted and the effects are so heavy-handed that the whole thing progressively becomes more and more deafening and overwhelming. Track to track to track, the sound you are going to get and whether or not you're going to enjoy it is really a crapshoot, which does make the overall listening experience kind of shoddy. But that does not mean that this record isn't without its highlights, as Hudson Mohawke does have quite a few strokes of genius on this record, and I think you would have to in order for it to translate out of this very chaotic track list. Like the grand string-kissed intro, for example. There's Intentions, which is one of the most fun and ingeniously jittery dance tracks I've heard this year, which is also the case for BICSTAN, but in this instance, the synthesizers are even catchier. We also have Dance Forever, whose rhythms and atmosphere resemble that of a throwback 80s, like, bass-style dance and hip-hop track with a lot of Rollins-style rhythms, those classic 808s as well, but then the vocal chops and somewhat unsettling and dissonant synth leads that pop in here and there make the whole sensation feel warped and odd, mutant. The hip-hop beats, glamorous instrumentation, and throwback vocal chops on Three Sheets to the Wind are a pretty tried and true formula, but Hudson Mohawke throws in a lot of subtle, weird qualities to it so that it's very specifically him, putting his thumbprint on the whole thing. And Tincture has a really neat and groovy, intense two-step rhythm to it, topped with all of these insane, disorienting bits of vocal. There's so many good tracks on this thing that are just dying to be played in the club, but simultaneously, there are just as many songs on this project that are just okay, or don't go far enough. I'm sure some of you have heard the old adage about not putting all of your eggs in one basket. I feel like this record has the opposite problem. There's too much effort and too much artistry being spread out among so many tracks, some of which I think could have been amended or changed or built upon had there been more focus on them, had we got them in a tighter track list that needed to flow a bit more functionally. But instead with Cry Sugar, what we end up getting is what sounds like a kind of left field bass, wonky, and trap playlist put on shuffle, with a super unique banger occasionally popping up here and there. I'm feeling a decent 2 strong 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that Upworthy link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Hudson Mohawke, forever.